Welcome to Machine Tool Maniacs, the podcast where machining, fabrication, entrepreneurship, and bringing ideas to life collide. Around here, every story is a success story. I'm Matt, a second-generation manufacturer who's been in the shop since I was in diapers, learning the tools, the trade, and the people behind it all. Nearly everything in our daily lives is passed through a CNC machine. And we're here to spotlight the makers turning raw material into reality. Whether you're dreaming big or building bigger, this is your inside track to making it happen. Get ready to sit down with Kelly Rus of Precision Machine and Repair to break down how he built a machine shop from the ground up in just a few short years. Kelly started by buying a one-man shop and shipping it to a small town in Georgia. Then, setting it up in the corner of a dump truck company with manual machines doing repair work. What really changed the trajectory was committing to a 24-hour breakdown repair model, which helped him earn trust fast, stand out in a small town, and charge premium rates. We talk about how he leveraged LinkedIn to gain access into large factories, the real pros and cons of running a shop in a small community, and how learning to adapt to customers' needs has been critical to his growth. If you're building a shop, doing repair work, or looking for practical ways to separate yourself and get taken seriously, there are a lot of solid nuggets in this one you won't want to miss. Welcome back to the Machine Tool Maniacs podcast. The guest I have today, if you have any interest in machining and you're on TikTok, you've probably seen him a time or two. His name is Kelly Rus, and he is the owner of Precision Machine and Repair in Warrenton, Georgia. Introduce yourself, Kelly.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. My name is Kelly Rus. I'm 38 years old. Started the machine shop about 3 years ago, and it's been a wild ride. Thanks for letting me join.
Yeah, awesome to have you, man. I mean, you and I actually just kind of had a little back and forth early on because I was teasing everybody about manual machines, and you've got your start on manual machines, which I completely
Yes.
respect. I just like to have a little fun back and forth. But tell us about your start. It's very interesting.
I actually was poking around with the idea of starting a machine shop because there was not a machine shop in our whole entire county. Granted, it's a small county, very remote area. There's a few larger industrial plants, but I always wanted to start a machine shop. I heard some of some of the local manufacturing and local industries going an hour away for a machine shop. So I literally was on Facebook Marketplace one day, and I bought out a one-man operation that was trying to retire. So I bought out a manual mill, a manual lathe, his toolbox, just the bare basics to get going. I went up Tennessee. I loaded all of that stuff in a 26-foot U-Haul and hauled it down.
Really?
And then once I got it out down here, before I worked with the local dump truck company, Southern Bales and Sons, and I rented part of their dump truck company for my manual lathe and manual mill. So I started in the corner of a dump truck company about 3.5 years ago.
And was this your first introduction into machining, or did you go to
No,
school or tech school or anything?
nope. I am originally from Michigan before I moved out and landed in Georgia. And in Michigan is heavy machinist, heavy manufacturing. So I was a machinist. I graduated in 2005, and that's about when I started machining. So I had plenty of knowledge. I've been around for machining for a while. And that's what irked me is when I moved down here, there wasn't a machine shop.
So you decided to build one yourself.
Yep, I went to one about 45 minutes away, tried to get in a job. They said no, so I'm like, I'm going to start my own then.
That's awesome. So this dump truck company, were they able to give you work right out the gate, or did they just
I
want to
never
let you
did
use
work
the
for them.
space?
I
Really?
actually never did anything for them when I was in their building. I have a few times after I moved out, but it was just a friend of mine, and he's like, I got the building, use the corner.
He had some juice.
Yep.
and some space for you. Well, that's really cool. So tell us what were these early machines? Was it a Bridgeport, just some kind of Bridgeport
It was
knockoff?
it was a Sharp milling machine, same
Okay.
thing with Bridgeport, Sharp milling machine, a Victor lathe, and basically just a couple boxes of random cutters and end mills and tooling fixtures and stuff. It only really came with two pieces of equipment, the mill and the lathe.
Got it. So tell us about the progression of your shop, like how you started finding work, how, how you kicked it off and how it's slowly grown from there.
Yeah, when I first started in the dump truck company, the battle was a lot of locals did not think we were serious until they absolutely needed me. That's when we started doing 24-hour breakdown repair work. There's a few local plants in the area that break down in the middle of the night. They used to always thought I was a joke, but then they'd call me and we'd get them up and running. So that's pretty much how I got in the doors with a lot of local people. And then from there, we started, oh, can you manufacture these parts for us? Well, at the time, I was just a manual machine shop. So there was a lot of times we could do it, but then there's a lot of times I subbed out work.
Hmm.
I subbed it out to another local, well, not local, it's 2.5 hours away, a local CNC shop, and that's all they had. Which then in return, that came to a good connection because he needed some bigger stuff turned on a lathe or he needed stuff done on a Bridgeport, well, a sharp milling machine where he couldn't do. So we built up a great connection there. And then I was still to the point I could not see the big picture. And it was about a year and a half. I thought I was still going to be stuck inside the dump truck company. I could not see the big picture.
Hmm.
And the building we're renting now came available, but only half of the building. But it was a 24 by 34 area, and I jumped on it. Because in the dump truck company, I had maybe a 12 by 12 square.
Yeah.
So then when I jumped on this building, then I got a big sign up front, and then a lot of locals started to be like, all right, dude, this dude's serious. So then I started gaining a lot more local customers, and then we would take on everything. It was to the point we were sending out about $70,000 a year in CNC work. So then it's like, all right, we got the room in this building now. We pulled the trigger on a Haas VF5.
Okay, that was your first CNC
That was the
purchase.
first CNC purchase. And then
Did
we
you buy
bought
that brand new or used?
we bought it used because as a business owner, we had to make some we were still new in the game. So
Yeah.
it's 50,000 or 100,000.
No,
We had
I get
to
it,
weigh
man.
out the options.
Yeah.
A lot of people always want to just buy the newest, greatest of everything. When you start, you really can't do that. You have to play the numbers and you have to be smart about it. We had zero issues with buying a used Haas VF5. It works great. We still use it every day. I will throw in a spoiler. We do have a Haas VF3 SS coming.
Oh, very nice.
We'll throw
Okay.
that in there.
A new one this
What's
time.
that?
A new one this time, or is it also
No, it is
used?
a little newer, but it is a few years old.
Got it.
It's a little newer, but we do have that because we started with just manual repair work, and then our customers led us to job shop stuff. It's like, well, if you can do that, you can do this.
Yeah.
I
There
tell
you
them
go.
no.
Well,
So
tell us about your 24-hour repair turnaround and how that served your company.
it was weird. I didn't know if it was going to be beneficial or not, but I just thought I'd advertise it. It's be like, hey, if you break down, if your assembly plant or your manufacturing plant breaks down in the middle of the night, give us a call. We'll be there.
Uh-huh.
We do a few of those jobs where they break down in the middle of the night and we're there. They suck, but it gets them up and running and
I'm
they are
sure
and they will always remember that we were there.
I'm sure you get a premium price for it too.
Oh
That's the
yeah,
nice
it's
thing
not
about
job shop.
offering that service.
Definitely not job shop repair. Like,
Yeah.
hey, we just did one about last month, about a month and a half ago. And the plant called and was like, hey, Kelly, we need your team in here. I know I'm not going to be able to wait till 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's 11:30 at night right now. Come on. So they know they're paying a premium. But some production places, the amount of money they're losing to be down for an hour, you can kind of jack up that invoice and they don't even care.
Yeah, don't even bat an eye.
Yep.
What kind of production facilities, if you're allowed to tell us, what kind of production facilities are these that you're supporting?
I can tell you the broad terms. We do a lot with the shipping industry, with shipping
Okay.
hubs. We do a
Okay.
lot with we do a little bit locally with the local foundry. I can't tell you what they make, but it's a local foundry.
Yeah, that works.
We do a lot with the sawmill industries.
Yeah. So, I mean, for anybody looking to start a small shop in their region, it seems like wherever you go, in any part, in
Yes,
any corner of the country, there's some kind of industry
yes.
in that area. And it doesn't
Yep.
really matter where you're at. There's something somewhere. So it's just a matter of kicking up rocks.
Like
So,
Warrenton, Georgia only has one street light. There's not even a fast food place in town. There's a few mom and pop restaurants, but we have Georgia Pacific as a prime example. Their number one producing sawmill is right down the road from me.
uh-huh.
We have a major foundry in the area. We got four different pellet mills in the area. So there's a lot of business just in this small little county.
Yeah, and it's helpful to remind people that every single one, even though these companies don't have machines in them, or sometimes they're not even making metal parts, they always have equipment that
Yep.
breaks down and needs repair. So,
Yep. And that is
uh,
what I started off of, is just focusing on repair work.
that's really
And
awesome.
a lot of farmers in the area. There's a big need for a lot of agricultural farmers. They're always breaking everything. So fix a lot of their stuff.
So a lot of this has been your challenge of having a shop in a small town and finding that work. How how hard is it to break into these big factories? Because I know typically factories, they kind of have tight locked doors. They don't
Yeah.
let people just walk in. It's kind of hard to find out, who do I contact here to let them know I even exist? Or how do I break into the shop to just let them know of my presence? How
Yep.
did you solve that?
It was very hard. It was very hard. But when you start advertising repair work,
Uh-huh.
even if you're not in your doors, they will call you when they need you, and then you're
Got
in
it.
your doors.
Okay.
And
That
then
makes sense.
when you first get in their doors, you tell them about everything else you can do.
What is your method, or what early on, what was your primary method? Were you just handing out flyers, social media? What was your best method for making them aware that you did the 24-hour repair work?
I used to mail out flyers to a lot of people. I would
Uh-huh.
go to LinkedIn and figure out who the maintenance manager is, who the plant manager is of these companies,
Oh,
and
good idea. Yeah. That's
start bombarding them. I use LinkedIn a lot for that. Like, there's a company down the road. If I want to get in their doors, all the professional people are on LinkedIn. So you can find that plant manager. You can find the purchasing person. You can find them and start bombarding them.
that's a good idea, man. I like that. I guess I've never even would have thought about that, but that's
It worked
that's true, especially in
great to our
corporate.
benefit.
Yeah, especially in corporate environments. All
Yep.
those high level corporate people are all on LinkedIn. So
Yep.
trying to get in, trying to get in through that method is yeah,
It worked great for us. There's a few companies that hasn't, but the majority it really has.
good, good.
Then
Um,
from there, we do a lot of TikTok local stuff. We do a little bit with Facebook, but not much. But TikTok, we post a lot of raw, funny, hilarious, down to earth videos, and that gained us a nationwide company and a few others from Alabama, Texas, Missouri. So now we're working with a lot of people outside of the region that I never thought was going to happen when I first started.
yes, and if anybody on here isn't following Kelly on TikTok, follow him on TikTok. It's a lot of stuff he posts is pretty funny, so I get a kick out of it.
Yeah, and we get a lot of work off of it. It's crazy. Like, we'll get random emails. Hey, man, we found you on TikTok. Are you able to make this for us? Are you able to do this for us? And that is how we transitioned to a full machine shop instead of just repair work. I
Hmm.
started with repair work. The problem is you got to figure out, you don't know what's coming through the door. You just got to figure it out.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just,
Well, it's
work.
inconsistent. I could
Oh
see
yeah,
that being very fruitful, but it's not a long-term thing, right? So you're just always
correct.
kind of saying, well, when is that next job going to come in?
Yep. And that was a strong battle in the beginning. Like you'd do a big job and it'd be 6 weeks before you find something before another big job came in.
Hmm.
And then it would be three in 1 week. So it constantly up and down, up and down. So that is a main push into the job shop where we got the CNC. So when one's up, the other one's down, but then hopefully they even themselves out between the job shop, short run production stuff, and the breakdown repair work.
So did some of this repair work that you've done, I would guess that it's led to you creating some sort of relationship with the companies that is manufacturing this equipment.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Wherever I go, I always look at the manufacturers. I always try to hit up the main, okay, who built this equipment?
Yes,
Who
tell us about that.
manufactured this equipment? Who sold it to this company? Because if you're repairing that equipment, that means they could not buy the parts in time or did
Hmm.
not have the parts from the manufacturer in their supply house room, whatever it's called. So
Uh-huh.
I'm always, wherever I'm at, even if you just see the name on the equipment, just take a photo of it and go back to it later. And then research that, and then you try to get into the manufacturers.
And are they pretty cooperative in working with you?
A few of them are, a few of them are not. A few of them, they're okay, yeah, we got a major line right in your area.
Hmm.
We'll definitely use you. So there's a few of them that are not like, well, if you work for the company directly, we don't want you to work with us, NDA kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But overall, a lot of them are very lenient, be like, yeah, we just got to get that piece of equipment running.
Yeah,
Um,
I could see how that'd be beneficial, right? That it's in their best interest that that equipment produces
correct.
for that factory because if it's not producing, they're going to have a bad time and if they go to buy another piece of equipment, they might look at somebody else. So,
Exactly. So they are a lot of, yes, we'll do what we have to take. Like, there's been times I have not worked with the manufacturer, like the local pellet mill. They had a breakdown. I they basically screwed up the part so bad we couldn't even reverse engineer it to figure out what they had going on.
oh
So I
wow.
called the manufacturer, told them who I am. They actually sent me drawings and the print to make that part for them. And then I got into their system afterwards.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that was actually going to be another question. I was curious if anybody had ever actually even gone as far as sending you drawings.
Yep.
So,
Sometimes you just gotta bag and plead and be like, "Do you want this piece of equipment to run back now that has your name on it?
yeah.
Give me the drawings, or they're gonna be down for 2 weeks till you can
Hmm.
set them apart." So when you're in anything with manufacturing, they just got to get it up and running. So they were willing to just send me all the files, all the stuff I needed to make that part.
That's awesome. So, how many employees do you currently have?
We got three right now.
Three.
So
Okay.
we are kind of smaller. We are kind of going. We do have a few college kids that help us out during the summer and weekends as well. But we
Nothing
are a
wrong with
small
that.
shop. We only been at it for 3.5 years, but we are growing every year. Like we're doubling pretty much every year at the pace we started.
That's awesome. So, how has it been finding employees? I imagine you've had to just kind of train a lot of guys from the ground up.
um, Being in a remote area, you get a lot of, yeah, I work on a farm. I know how to weld. Well, that's cool. Can you machine a part? Nope. But I can weld. Well, I don't need a welder. Are you
Yeah.
willing to learn? So you kind of got to train them and work with them a little bit. Um, there is a local college close by that we're actually thinking about sending some of our guys to and flipping the bill just to get them some more experience, especially now that the repair work side is impossible to find people. Nobody wants to mess with that. The CNC job shop stuff, it's easier to find people because they actually see the raw material into a finished product, and that's what's cool.
Hmm.
Repair work, you see a piece of junk that you fixed, and that's about it. It's just not as cool. I guess there's
Yeah.
not enough computers or not enough CNC technology in this repair work. So it's harder to find someone to run the manuals. That's where I do a lot of that yet. Our main CNC guy, Jason, can run the manuals if needed, but he's a CNC guy. He just wants to play with the spindles.
Yeah. Do the computer stuff. Well, I've had the pleasure of getting to work with a lot of small town shops in my career, especially with what I've been doing for the last 8 years. And one thing I've noticed about anytime you go work in a shop that's in a small town that hires local, local farm kids, just local small town folk, is it always seems like the small town folk are way better
Oh yeah,
at figuring things out for themselves. They're way
yes,
more self-sufficient. And I
yes,
think I think a big component of that is that's how it has to be, especially on the farm. On
yep,
the farm, nobody says, "Oh, well, you just have to open the manual and do X, Y, Z."
nope,
A lot of times on farms, you have some old janky tractor, and somebody's telling you, "I don't care what it takes, just get this thing going." And
nope.
I that mentality is really prevalent in small communities. And I like it because it's important in this industry that people know how to solve their own problems and
Yeah, we
not
have that a
just raise
lot.
their hands, right? Oh, I've hit a roadblock. I'm done.
Yep, we have that a lot. Like there is one repair job that dang near killed us a few weeks ago.
Hmm.
Um, it was on a big long conveyor, but then it had the tail pulley. The bearings, the pivot block bearings never got tight, so it kind of jumped like this, and it
Oh,
sucked that, and the bolt snapped and it sucked it up. So
mm,
it snapped the 4.5 inch shaft and everything. It was just a mess. It busted the whole frame. Well, some of these guys, we all had to think, and we came up with a rock solid solution that I never would have thought of. And we were able to get that back up and running just because of the intelligence of the team about just making it and fixing it and thinking outside the box. So the talent level we have here, I speak very highly of.
yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So, well, tell us about kind of being the only machine shop in your small town. What's I do you do a lot of people come by and ask you to make random things like brass knuckles or something?
Not a whole lot. There's a lot of people that think we rebuild motors and work on cars.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Um,
that too.
it's no, we don't want to mess with your motor. We don't want to mess with that. But I did
Yeah.
end up finding a machine shop about an hour and a half away that's all they do is work on motors.
Hmm.
So I got on the phone with him. I'm like, hey, how much job shop stuff do you get? He's like, oh, we turn a lot down. So now we're okay, go to this guy, go to this guy. So it worked out good.
There you go.
But there's not a whole lot of random people that walk in. Like this morning, right before this, the local well company that drills wells, they needed a little shaft fixed. And so we do a lot of walk-in stuff for like industrial stuff, but not
Hmm.
much of the average person.
Good.
But a lot of people in the area, they don't really know what we do. The
Hmm.
average citizen has no clue what we do here. So we're still trying to bring awareness to that. That is the little challenge.
Well, I guess there's a benefit to being the only player in the area too, right? No competition.
Yes, we love that part. We absolutely love that part. Um, but then again, at the same time, being the only one is, oh, we have to figure this out because the nearest option that can help us is 2.5 hours away or 45
Hmm.
minutes down the road. So there's a lot of other shops that we do network with together. A lot of the shops down here don't look at it is like there's a shop about 40 minutes away. We don't even look at each other as competition. We build him out of the water, he build us out of the water.
Hmm.
We just work as a team.
As you've already mentioned, you almost do design level stuff, it sounds like. So you're going beyond just machining.
Yes, we are we started machining, and then a lot of our customers drugged us into a different area, and we just following the curve. So
Mm-hmm.
like some of the manufacturers be like, all right, well, we need a fixture plate that does this, that holds this. We need a workstation that does this.
Mm-hmm.
So we tapped into that market as well. A lot of that stuff we can't really post, but it's so cool we want to.
Yeah.
But so we started doing like fixturings and fixture tables and basically QA stuff for these manufacturers where they can hold the part in this nest and then they can check it and help them bring in some automation more into their plant and factory. So
So
that's a fun. I love doing that kind of stuff.
yeah, that's really cool stuff. Are they just handing these projects off and you're engineering them, or are you working in tandem with their engineering?
A lot of times we'll work together. A lot of times they'll be like working with their engineer and then we'll bounce back and forth ideas together.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where we started rebranding a little bit to precision machine and repair, full service machine shop and repairing lost production times. That's
Yeah.
kind of how we rebranded to okay, we can repair your factory, we can repair what's broke, but then we can also repair your lost production times by building you this, by selling you this. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of in the beginning, I never thought that was ever going to happen. It's just you kind of follow wherever your customers take you and you just run with it.
Yeah, and I think that's important for anybody that's starting their own shop to understand that you can plan and say, "Oh, this is where I'm going and this is what I want to do." But
Never worked.
yeah, if you want to be successful, you just need to
Yep.
go where your customers are pulling you. And
Yep.
there's a lot to be said there.
Yep. Like 3.5 years ago, my plan was never leaving the dump truck building.
Yeah.
And now then when this building came available, we got half of it. And then the beginning of the year, we got the whole building and we're
Hmm.
almost maxed out again.
Quick pit stop. If you're enjoying the show, hit subscribe and drop a rating. It helps more machinists and makers find us. Tell a friend. Tell your crew. Tell the guy running the second shift. Follow me along on social media at machine underscore tool underscore maniac for thoughts, updates, and some funny memes. We're growing this community with more guests, more value, and more stories that push people to create. So if you've got a niche product getting manufactured or a shop with a cool story, email me at machinetoolmaniac@gmail.com or check out the website machinetoolmaniac.com for merch. All right, back to the episode. Yeah, and it sounds. Speaking of the building, it sounds like you already have a piece of property, right, to expand. Tell us about that.
Yes, earlier this year, when the building we're in now sold, so we didn't know what was going to happen with the new landlord. We just lease it.
Uh huh.
The guy that bought it says, "You want the whole building? Take it." Perfect. We took it. But before that, we bought 4 acres in the corner of the industrial park right in town. So
Mm-hmm.
we can sit on it, we can build on it. So eventually the shop will be on our own location. But right now, as a business owner, yes, I'd love to have a new building, but at the same time, I need a lot more equipment and max this building out to the fullest before I even think about building.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so you said it's in an industrial park, so you already have access to three-phase power and
Three-phase power, city water, city sewer, all of that, right?
awesome.
Right on the corner lot. It's gonna be a great, I can't wait, but at the same time, it's okay, we're moving machines around now to put in a new CNC machine. We're moving this around. We still got plenty of room. Because overall, we got our shop layout is like side A, side B, side C. So it's kind of a weird building.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we got about 3,000 square feet. And then we got a carport out back that's about 3,000 square feet where all our material is, all our cutting, all that stuff. So every day I walk in here, I'm like, I want a new building, but
Yeah.
long we can't right now. You gotta, as a business owner, you gotta do every move planned out and make sure all the numbers line up. So
Yeah, you don't want to overextend yourself, that's for sure.
exactly.
But
That is the number one reason why machine shops fail is because they grow too fast and they don't plan the future.
yes, I've witnessed a few shops go under for that
Mhm.
reason. Just I mean, backtracking a little bit to talking about reversing or um, financing a machine right out the gate. I agree with you, man. I don't. I think early on when you don't have the work,
Yep.
but you have the time, that's a good time to buy a used machine. That if you need to fix it, if it breaks down, you can handle that. And then
Yep.
as you start to grow a customer base and your downtime becomes less and less and it starts becoming more
Correct.
expensive to have machine downtime, then you start looking at buying new equipment or stuff that's newer and less likely to break
Yep.
down.
And definitely for anybody wanting to start a shop, keep track of the numbers. Like we took on a whole bunch of CNC work, but it was not until we sent out about $70,000 a year in CNC work before we pulled the trigger to bring our own CNC because we wanted to make sure the work was going to be there.
Yeah.
So that's how we did it with just manuals, and we were a full board machine shop, and a lot of our customers had no idea. They do now, but
Hmm. Do you have any CNC lathes?
we do. We do have a Hardage Elite 851 CNC lathe with a bar feeder. We are actually thinking about selling it and going a different route
Hmm.
because we really don't use it a whole lot. Most of our lathe work, honestly, is all big stuff where we do on the manuals. So we
Okay.
don't use a CNC lathe a whole lot.
Really?
Yep.
All right. So even like turning threads on the end of shafts, well, I guess you can just do that on manuals.
Yeah, we do it on the manual or a lot of them shafts if they need to. It's 4 or 5 inch diameter. So a lot of times you need a one massive CNC lathe to do it.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
we
I,
don't actually do a whole lot of threads. So
hmm.
right now it's yeah, we have the CNC. It's a smaller one, but we bought it for a good deal, but we're thinking about selling it.
Is it just a two-axis lathe?
It
Does that?
does have the live tooling and the Y and the C axis and
Oh,
live
okay.
and all that. So it is pretty nice, but
Yeah, that sounds like a decent lathe.
for small production parts, like if we do like right now the mill's just working on a 400 piece order. If we can get some of them smaller production job shop stuff for a lathe, it'd be well worth it. But I don't know if our customers just don't know we have one or if they don't do a whole lot of round small parts, but for now it sits in the corner and gets used barely little.
Huh. Yeah, it seems like it'd be useful for just bushings and
Yeah.
right. Even if you got to make a custom nut, like
Nope.
I can imagine that. I can only imagine what some of these manufacturers do of this equipment in these factories. They probably custom. It's instead of just buying
Yeah.
something on a shelf, they're like, we want to use our custom thread that we engineered. So
Yep. We have gotten to some weird oddball stuff machining and it's like, what were they thinking? But
yeah, yeah,
time we'll make it for you.
I can only imagine. But it keeps you busy, I'm sure.
Yep. Yeah, we're pretty steady. We are very thankful for that. Um, I thought it was never going to be to this level in a very remote area, but ride it while you can.
Let's go into depth a little bit about your marketing and leveraging TikTok. When did you start doing the TikTok thing?
My daughter came up with the idea. She was 14. She's like, "Hey, Dad, you need a TikTok for your shop." She's like, "I bet you can't get 100 followers." I said, "All right." So I started a TikTok, and then it started going 100, 200, 300. Now I'm at like 5,500, and she gives me a hard time about it.
Yeah,
And
she's probably jealous. She probably got more followers than anybody she knows.
so it works out good. We post a lot of raw, funny, hilarious. We'll post the machines crashing. We'll post stuff that don't make sense, broken cutters. We'll post the real raw stuff.
Uh-huh.
And with that, we are on Instagram. We do have a Facebook page, but we don't really mess around with those a whole lot because TikTok's more comedy stuff.
Yeah.
So we found the niche of just running with TikTok, and that actually gained us a few nationwide customers and a lot of well-known manufacturers like, hey man, make this for us.
Well, as we actually talked a little bit before we started recording, if you don't know, because I think a lot of people discredit TikTok and say, "Oh,
Oh,
TikTok's just dancing videos."
nope.
The nice thing about TikTok versus all the other platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook's like impossible these days.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Um,
That's only
Tik,
good marketplace.
the most successful videos on TikTok are just raw videos, just
Nope.
somebody whipping out a camera and filming them because it seems like the crowd on TikTok just want to see the human side of everything, not
Nope.
the overproduced, not the perfect version. TikTok really has a lot of grace when it comes to just being, I've
Raw
just busted
real.
out my camera and started recording.
Like
And
there's a video ago I busted out. I'm like, man, this part's looking so good. I took a video of it. Oh, cracked the cutter. I'm like, I'm leaving it. I'm posting it. So we post a lot of raw, real, down to earth stuff, and that's what people like. And
yeah.
all of our engineers that we work with some of the most amazing engineers. I don't know if you've seen some of the prints we receive.
Hmm.
Um, they'll leave funny comments, they'll leave funny stuff, and every one of our engineers are thankful that we're not a high production fake shop with our social media or our advertising. They love how we're just down raw to earth. Um, so it's worked very well in our benefit.
It's actually got you customers.
Yes. Yep.
Interesting.
We ask every single customer, every single new person, how you hear about us, how did you find us, and we track that data.
Uh-huh.
The business owner, we track a lot of stuff behind the scenes, not normal
Uh-huh.
to think of. So when I get a brand new inquiry for a quote or whatever, what, hey, how'd you hear about us? Oh, we found you on TikTok, or I do have a few that find us on LinkedIn just as well.
Hmm.
But TikTok has gained us the most.
Interesting. So has TikTok served you in any other ways? Like have you got employees from TikTok?
Nope,
Nope.
nope, not at all. Um, TikTok has gained a lot of support from other machine shops. There's a
Yeah.
lot of machine shops I follow that will bounce back in questions. Like there's a machine shop, I'm not going to say the name, but they're on the other side of the country. We'll just put it that way. Other side
Uh-huh.
of America. He called me out of the blue and he's like, hey man, we've been following and engaging in each other's videos. I want to ask you about a business question. I'm like, well, I'm not the one to ask for that, but it was basically the same thing I did is what machine will you look at? And I told him, well, what are your customers leaning towards? Follow the curve. And he's like, I don't track any of that. Like, well, man, you got to track all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of engagement with other local machine shops, and that's very beneficial for TikTok.
Yeah. I think the old practice when it comes to machine shops was everybody was trying to hoard their work and
Yeah.
hide what they were doing. And I really think the new way, and if you listen to my last episode, I talked to this with Chris on my last episode. I think moving forward, there's so much work for everybody.
Oh, it's
There's
insane.
there's I'm because like I say in my intro, nothing that we come in contact with in our daily lives hasn't, if it hasn't directly been touched by a
Nope.
machinist made the mold, that plastic injection
Correct.
mold in that item. A machinist even, I mean, heavy equipment, textiles, right? Fabrics and stuff. That those were made on machines that have components that were made by a machinist.
Yep.
And there's just so much work for everybody. And
Everywhere you go.
I think the strength moving forward is for all of us to band together and to network and to lift each other up and to
Yep.
help each other. Because the truth is that the small machine shops like yours, you
They're the
know,
powerhouse.
they are the ones that get the work done. And I've seen it over and over and over again. These big corporate, They just get too top heavy.
Nope.
And when they try to do manufacturing in house, they just can't do it successfully. So it's
Mhm.
always going to be the smaller shops, maybe I tend to think like a 20-man shop is kind of the
That's
perfect,
where I want to get to is
yeah,
about 20 people. I think
yeah,
that's about where I want to get to. And the way we're growing, I have a feeling it's going to happen pretty quick.
good,
But
good.
that's about where I want to get to. And about 20, 15, 20 people.
Well,
But
that's
a
my
lot of
goal
it is
with
when
what,
we talk about machine shops, everybody's like, oh, you do work for aerospace. There's a million other lines of work besides aerospace, but everybody's like, oh, we got to go into aerospace. You
yeah.
don't need to. You can if you want, but you don't need to.
No. Well, especially then once you start going the aerospace route, now you got to get AS 9100, and
Oh,
you got to get all these quality systems in place, and that's a lot of work. So in
mhm.
my mind, maybe chase the work that doesn't require a quality system, because quality
Yeah.
systems can get quite expensive because you got to pay auditors to come in and comb through your stuff and see if you're following it. So
We have
there's
internal quality that we do, but we don't have a major external quality company like that yet, like ITAR or ISO or none of that stuff. But we follow their procedures in-house for us only.
And that's a good idea, because if you ever get to a point where you're ready to implement a quality
Nope.
system, even like ISO 9001, you're
We're
halfway
already
there.
following the practice. So we already there. So we wanted to make sure we follow it just in case we need it. But right now we don't need it.
Hmm. Well, you got any advice for anybody thinking about starting a shop in a small town like you have?
Do it. Do it. Um, I was nervous. I will say that again, and I will still stand on that until my shop is where I want it to be. I was very nervous starting in a remote area, but the work you see in a remote area can definitely get you going, and then you can definitely start branching out. Wherever UPS or FedEx goes, you can send them parts too. So start remote, start small, and then just branch out. And it'll happen. It's if you have a drive and a will, it's gonna happen and take off. I
Well, and
was, but it was well worth it.
that's another kind of old way of thinking. As my parents owned a machine shop, and they had in their head like, oh, we have to have our machine shop in the middle of Denver
Oh,
because that's the only way to find work. We got to be in a big city because that's the only way to get material. That's the only way to ship parts. That's the only way to have local service. And there is some benefits, but the
oh yeah,
downsides of being in a big city is real estate is extraordinarily expensive. Typically, the taxation in big cities is much higher. Like I remember,
no. Let me interrupt about the real estate. On that note, I
yeah, go
picked up
ahead.
my 4 acres in the industrial park for $10,000,
Yeah,
and I
that's
just
amazing.
paid the property taxes of 155.
Yeah.
Where do you
See,
want your shop? In a remote area or on your $500,000 lot?
oh, more than I mean, in downtown industrial Denver,
Yeah,
a 4 acre lot would probably run you 10 million, to be
yeah.
honest, for a 4 acre lot. Yeah, yeah.
So
It
if
would
you want to start a shop with the internet these days, you can make a very successful shop in the middle of nowhere.
exactly. And I
Like,
love that, right? It's kind of spreading everything out, and there's talent pools. I mean, granted, like we already spoke, you're probably not going to find people who have training being a machinist, but you probably have some pretty good problem solvers and some kids with some decent
absolutely.
work ethic that you can train up into it. So if you're
Yep.
willing to do that,
If you're willing to show them what we can do, a lot of them are willing to learn what we do.
yeah.
Because the schools don't really show what we do, at
Yeah,
least
and
here.
that's the thing. Even when you hire a kid out of a technical school or something, a lot of times they might have got trained with some bad habits that
Yeah,
you don't really want them to do. Or,
yeah.
sometimes they're they're taught to do things that aren't really relevant to the type of work you're doing. So I'm not
Correct.
trying to diminish what the technical schools do. I love the technical schools, but it's not
Absolutely.
always a necessity.
But a lot of parts are, you can't really go off a textbook. A lot of like technical schools will teach you how to make the part, but in the real world, you can't hold the part how the textbook wants you to hold the part. So you
Yeah.
gotta definitely do some off the wall thinking and everything. Like when I went to college to be a journeyman machinist, they didn't tell you anything about fixturing. They didn't tell you anything about proper holding.
Yeah.
Well, you better come up with figuring out how to fixture and how to hold these parts.
Well, because most of the little demo parts you make is like, here, just hold this square block in this
Yep.
vise. It's like, wait, what happens when you get in the real world and you have some crazy shaped casting or
Yeah,
some part that you're not holding that part in a
you're not
vise.
holding it in a vise, which you need to know the fundamentals, but at the same time, you gotta think outside the box on every part we do.
Exactly. So, any other advice for small town people thinking about starting a shop in a small town or rural area?
Start small.
Yeah,
Unless your pockets are bigger than mine, start small.
yeah,
Um,
that's good advice.
when I moved my whole shop in a U-Haul truck from Tennessee, when I bought the one-man operation out, we started small. If you have a dream, a vision, and a plan, start small and don't focus so much on these bigger shops like on social media that have 15, 30, 40 machines sitting there.
Yeah.
They started somewhere too.
Yep.
So a lot of it is, oh man, why can't I do all that? You will get there if you start small, keep your payments to a minimum. When you're a year or two in business, you don't need the brand new $150,000 machine. A $60,000 machine will do just fine. The new stuff will come.
I
The
agree.
all that stuff will come. Just start small and focus and don't bite more than you can chew.
That's great advice. All right. So, quick fire round. What CAD CAM software do you prefer and use?
We use Fusion 360 right now. You can say what you want, but we love it and it
Yep.
works for everything we need to at the moment.
And it's cheap.
It,
Like compared to all the other ones, I've been playing with it. Historically speaking, I use Gibbs Cam a lot,
you know,
but it is amazing how powerful it is for what you pay. And I get it. Once you start trying to level it up, that's when they kind of start putting the screws to you a little bit and getting some more
yes,
money out
you
of
do
you. But
have to buy the add-on extensions, this and that, but you're still okay. So now we're at $1,500 a year versus $20,000 a year up front. So
yeah,
we use
that's
Fusion 360.
that's amazing. And the design function of it is really cool too.
Oh,
A lot of the expensive, Mastercam, Gibbs Cam, they have very basic design
nope,
functions, but you can't do assemblies and
nope. And now that we do some fixture builds and stuff like that, we need the design side.
yeah, yeah,
We do have a seat of SolidWorks, but I don't even use it anymore.
really.
Yep, I just all use everything right on Fusion.
Yep. Well, I've been going down that route lately. What machine in your shop makes you smile every time you turn it on?
My manual lathe.
Yeah. All right.
We have
Nothing
three
wrong.
manual lathes, and they are actually the foundation of the shop. There is so much work that we use on a manual lathe for shaft repair, roller repair. It's just, granted, I love the CNCs. It was a great move to get into, but the manual lathes for repair work wise is where it's at.
What's the swing and the bed length on your manual lathes?
The biggest one I got is 120-inch bed length, and that one's
Okay.
got a 22-inch swing, and that's the biggest one. And
Wow.
my main one has a 60-inch bed length and an 18-inch swing.
Okay. Do you have steady rests for both of them? And
Yep. Just the basics that you'll see on any old engine lathe.
yeah.
Uh, we do have a lot of Kennametal tooling and a lot of um, carbide insert holders, and we do have a lot of tooling for them. But a lot of stuff we get into some weird stuff, so we had to make a weird radius tool or weird this. So But yeah, we use the lathes every day. The lathes is at least running.
Yeah, some of those old school solutions, so to speak, right, for turning a big radius.
Yep.
I've seen guys that'll build it's almost like a tool that'll hold an insert in it, like a straight turning insert, and then they can swing a radius with it.
Yep.
So just some of that stuff to watch those old school machinists, manual machinists build those kinds of things. It's it's impressive. I
We
mean,
are looking at the Accurite CNC conversion to put on our big lathe. That I don't know if you know much about the Accurite readout. They have a two-axis conventional CNC programmer for manual lathes and manual mills.
really, and it
Have
puts a servo on your X and Z.
Yep, we have been looking at some of that stuff, and we think that's going to bring the younger generation more interested in to it as well.
I didn't know Accurite builds one, but I know like Fagor
Fagor
has a
does.
pretty nice retrofit kit. I mean, you can do like Centroid or Masso if you've ever heard of
Paso
Masso.
does.
So
Yep.
there's some other ones, but yeah, like Mach 3 is another one,
Yep.
Mach 3, Mach 4.
But yeah, they got
Um,
Accurite mill turn. That's for the basically a Bridgeport, and then they got the Accurite. It's for the lathe. I don't know exactly what it's called, but they do have one too that I've been eyeing pretty heavily.
that's cool. And it can do threading because I guess that's where I would be because threading you have to have a pulse coder is what it's called to identify the position of the
Position.
spindle.
Oh, yeah.
So it knows, okay, well, if I'm, cutting a new thread, I have to start at this exact rotational position. Um, so you have to have pretty accurate measurements on your RPM and your your position of your spindle so you can do threading. So that system has accommodations for that.
That's what he says. We haven't
Interesting.
actually been there and look at it, but they say it does all that.
Okay.
So
I mean, I guess even if you had to just manually still do your threading, but you could just CNC do all the turning.
like, 'cause we
Yeah.
do a lot of shaft and roller repair where we'll build up the end of a journal and turn it back down. So it's pretty easy stuff. But
Oh, okay. So you
yeah,
like weld it up?
yeah. So if you get a
Interesting.
CNC guy, a CNC conversion kit, we're thinking we're gonna bring a lot more interest in for the newer generation besides just turning it manually because not many people want to turn handles anymore. They want to push a button.
Yeah. Including myself.
Now
Um,
that I hear that, hey, I ain't gonna laugh, man. I push buttons on our CNCs, and
yeah, I saw the other day you had to go push some buttons.
it's like, man, they got it good. They got an easy life.
That's right. Um, how about when you're welding up a journal or something or a OD? Do you have an automatic machine for doing that, or are you just doing that by hand?
We got an old lathe that we chuck that up there, and we'll just weld it right on the lathe. We'll flip the cross lever so it niggle.
Really, you set up the MIG handle like in the
Yep,
cross slide.
yep. We got an old lathe that we rebuilt and converted over.
Well, that's awesome. Nothing wrong with that.
Now, just don't tell a true lathe guy how we're doing it. They're gonna be like, "You can't do that with a lathe." Yeah, we can.
I've seen
And it's
some.
dedicated just for that. So obviously, we're not turning anything else on that lathe. It's just a legit welding lathe. It's the same thing as a rotator positioner, same
Yeah,
kind of concept.
yeah, exactly. One tool that you can't live without.
8-inch calipers.
Yep, I happened to. That actually was one thing my dad was always obsessive over in the beginning. He hated the 6-inch calipers. He's always like, "Those are worthless. You get a set of 8-inch calipers." I remember.
I was the other way around. I'm not gonna lie. When I worked at the machine shop in Michigan, everybody was 6-inch calipers. So I was dead set on my 6-inch calipers. Then when I started my own shop, it's like every part I needed 7 inches, 7.5, 6,
Yeah,
8-inch calipers. Now I'll never buy another 6-inch calipers. Everything's 8-inch.
yeah. My dad was also obsessive about getting the carbide tip ones. So they
Yep.
were now you're spending. I'm sure I haven't looked at them lately, but even back then they were 300-400 bucks for a set of carbide face
Yeah.
calipers.
Yep. But yeah, 8-inch calipers is my go-to reference tool. I can't live without. There's we're gonna start putting one by every single machine and just kind of dedicate it per machine and per the office and everything. So 8-inch calipers all the way around.
Tell us about a repair job that nearly broke you but taught you the most.
I know I touched base on it a little while ago, that big pulley that the bearings came loose out of the bearings. I mean, the pillow block bearings, and sucked that whole tail pulley up in the shaft,
Uh-huh.
up to the head pulley, and broke the whole end of that frame, busted the guarding up, snapped that 4-inch shaft, and just straighten. We had to straighten the whole frame out. We had to do everything. That one killed us.
Mm-hmm.
It was at about 2 in the morning.
And how long did it take you to get that back up and going?
Time we machined the shaft, did everything. I'd have to look back, but I think it was about 15 hours. Time we machined the shaft, straightened out the frame, welded in new sections of the frame, and all that. It was about 15 hours.
Wow.
And that was
That's
with working with their maintenance guys, doing a lot of the welding while I was at the shop working on the shaft. We're working with them. We'll help them. They're working with us. So they'll do tasks while we're at the shop making some of the parts as well. So it's kind of like we all jump in together. We do a team. We have a little meeting. We figure out what's best, and then we just knock it out and get it done.
how about your employees? Are they with you when you're doing these repairs, or you typically kind
Yeah.
of just okay.
Yep. They're 99% of the time with us, right? It's sad. Like
Nice.
we got a big one coming up Monday that they already called about and said, hey, you you got to pick up this part, and then we need it back that night. So we got a few things we got to finish up in the morning, and then we got to go pick up that part and get it back to them that night. And they're 2.5 hours away. So they already gave us a heads up. So come over when you're ready.
Well, I guess it's good if you have a little bit of a heads up. You can kind of
Yeah.
mentally prepare.
Yeah. So we're like, all right, Monday's a long day.
Got it. Well, thank you for joining the podcast today. Anything else you'd like to cover? Any other last closing notes you'd like to give out?
If you're thinking about starting a business, I want to highlight on the LinkedIn part again. Definitely go there, look for work. I know I saw it in your other podcast about a guy reaching out to local machine shops
Hmm.
and about, okay, local other machine shops hiring,
Yeah,
contact them. I love that advice. I'm gonna start doing that as well.
yeah, that was good advice.
That was great. I would have never thought of that.
Hmm.
And definitely go to LinkedIn. And I also want to say join your local chamber of commerce. Um, we get a lot of work just from our chamber of commerce because you toss them some money, and a lot of the bigger industries in the area are with them as well. So then
Oh, yeah. Okay.
they'll see you in there. So
Hmm.
the local chamber of commerce has been very helpful, and join that as well.
That's good. Well, tell everybody how to find you on social media, LinkedIn, your website, whatever information you want to
All
give
right.
out.
TikTok is actually just my personal name because I was scared at first about putting the company name on there, but now everybody knows it's linked to the company. It's just Kelly Rus, KELLYRUS, just my personal name. Um, Instagram and Facebook is actually Precision Machine Repair is the name. And then our website is literally just www.precisionmachinerepair.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today and encouraging anybody who's thinking about starting a shop and giving people the tools, because that's the goal here. My goal, my purpose with this podcast is to build a community
Yeah.
for machine shops and just talk about it and talk about, 'cause it's hard.
Oh, yeah,
It's
it's
not easy.
nothing easy
It's
about it.
and I there's a lot of folks out there that think, well, I'm a good machinist. I can start a shop. And I also want to set expectations when it comes to that owning a shop or owning a machine shop is only a small portion of it is actually being a good machinist. There's a
Oh,
lot of other aspects,
yeah.
marketing,
That is
business
one
aspects.
part I overlooked when I started. I will be the first to say I overlooked that part. It's like, well, I'm a great machinist. I machined a lot of stuff. I opened a shop. Okay, now I gotta learn QuickBooks. Now I gotta learn how to make some prints for these parts. Now I gotta, oh crap, what do you mean? You don't have the material here? I gotta order it? There's
Yeah.
so much more. And at the old shops I worked at, they just ordered the cutters. Okay, what kind of cutter do I want? What kind of inserts do I want? What kind of taps do I want? I got to find all these dang connections now. Where when I worked for someone, they're just in the drawer. I
Well,
overlooked that big time.
yeah, the other thing, just to expound on what you're saying, everybody's got an opinion, myself included, right? When I worked for a shop, I was like, why do they buy these cheap cutters? I hate them. And then
Yep.
once you're the guy buying the cutters, all
Hey,
that stuff goes out the window. Now you're the guy buying the cheap cutters.
yep. So I overlooked that in the beginning. And granted, I was able to work around it, but it's like you got to know so much more than just being a machinist. Yeah, it's insane how much more you have to do. Like after the workday, you're in the office for 5, 6 hours catching up on all that.
Yeah,
And then at the old shop, I never quoted parts. Now I got to figure out numbers and times and all that. So
exactly.
it's you got to know a lot. You're definitely gonna want it. You're gonna have to want it to make it work. Otherwise, you're better off just working for someone else.
Great advice. Great advice. Well, thank you for joining us today, and we'll be in touch in the future. I'll still be following you on TikTok, and we'll be still razzing each other about manual machining versus CNC. So,
I'll still give you a hard time about CNC machining, even though
oh
we
yeah.
have another one coming. I'll still give you a hard time about it.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today on the Machine Tool Maniacs podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.